Okay, awesome. Well, hi guys. How are you today? Um, Thank you for joining us. We have two amazing people joining us tonight, and please excuse me if my background is a little bit loud. I'm not at home right now. So we have Darron and Janeva. They work both at Authenticx. Janeva is a talent specialist, and Darron is the VP of talent, and they both have over 25 years of experience in the HR field. I don't know if you guys would like to introduce yourself and get started. Like, the floor is yours.
Yeah, definitely. So thanks for the introduction, Winnie. I guess just quick question here with the presentation slides. Will you want me to share my screen, or will you be sharing that for me?
Whatever works best for you. If you want me to share, like, you can do it yourself from your computer, but if you want me to do it, I can do it.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share.
Okay.
I can bring that up and we can do our introductions here as we do that. So I'm not accustomed to Google Meets, so give me just, I have to request permission, I assume.
Okay, just let me know.
Yeah, 1 second.
Just a little square with an error that says present now.
Yeah. All right, it should be, looks like it's sharing now.
It is awesome.
All right, perfect. So I'll go through this. We'll hit our introduction here just a little bit. Here's a quick snapshot of the agenda, just a quick intro. Janeva and I will run through a slight overview of the Authenticx organization, talk a little bit about our culture, and then we'll talk about some of the open opportunities that we have, and I'll probably spend the bulk of our time there at the end. Great. So just going through our quick intro. So this is our talent team. So I joined Authenticx about 18 months ago as a VP of talent. At that time, there were, I think I was the 32nd employee maybe, but there was about 20 people hired right around the same time in about June of last year as we were finishing our Series A fundraising round. So my background is in HR, recruiting, everything that kind of falls under that space. So I've worked in the healthcare industry, I've worked in the software tech space, financial services, so a little bit of variety there, and have done some independent consulting as well. So there's a quick snapshot. I'll turn it over to Janeva. Janeva, do you want to do a quick intro as well?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's nice to meet you finally. We've been trying to get connected with you guys here. So I've been with Authenticx since December of last year. So I'm approaching 1 year, actually, I think December 20th or something like that. So it's been a great ride. I am coming from a social work background in my kind of previous career. So worked in the social work field and corrections, mental health, youth, child protective services, and kind of decided that I love working with people, but love the business aspect. So transitioned into HR about 5 years ago. So it's been a great experience for me. And I'm also originally from Michigan, went to Michigan State, and I have been in Indianapolis now since 2016. And I'm also a doula.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for that intro. I've got a third team member here. Her name is Caitlin. She just joined Authenticx a few weeks ago. So the way our team is structured today, Janeva is shifting a lot of her talent focus to our sales, marketing, and our client services teams, while our new team member, Kate, is going to be especially focused on our product and our operations teams. But we all work pretty closely together, but that's kind of how we structured our new team with the recent growth. So let's go through, I guess, just a quick high-level overview of Authenticx. I always start by highlighting our founder and CEO, Amy Brown. She started Authenticx a little over 4 years ago. Her background is in social work, and then most recently in the health insurance space. The kind of why behind Authenticx when I may not do it nearly the justice that Amy would do, but her background in the healthcare space, working for large health insurance companies, and seeing that companies collect a lot of customer and patient experience information, whether that's like phone calls, emails, and those types of communications. But most companies don't really have the resources or the means to really utilize and make a lot of good value out of that data. So you all know when you call customer service numbers and you hear that automated message that says this call may be monitored or recorded for quality assurance and things like that. The vast majority of those calls go, are saved on a server somewhere and never get utilized. So that's what kind of sparked the creation of Authenticx. Is she saw an opportunity to say, man, if we can create a way to leverage and take all of this really unstructured data and information and turn it into real meaningful insight for large organizations, it could help them do business better. And that's ultimately the kind of basis of our foundation. So just a quick snapshot as far as, so what does Authenticx do? Here's kind of a tagline from our website and a lot of our marketing material. We'll talk about humanizing conversational intelligence in healthcare. And so really in a nutshell, to keep it short and sweet, the way our technology works is that we have a software platform that will take in phone recordings from our clients. So think about a large hospital system, or think about your health insurance provider and things like that. So they're recording those phone calls, and then they're importing that call data into our platform. And then we have a pretty robust AI and machine learning function within our platform that can help take those audio calls and convert them to text, automatically summarize calls, or automatically label calls based on keywords and things like that. We also have a team of analysts who have backgrounds as nurses, therapists, case managers, and things like that, who are actually listening to some of the calls or the majority of the calls that come into our platform. And they're actually evaluating those calls based on various metrics like compliance, adverse events, customer satisfaction, and things like that. So really, I describe our environment as the human and the technology working together to evaluate millions of customer interactions, and then being able to produce some real rich and deep insights that we then provide to our clients, whether that's customers, call center managers, or patient experience directors, all the way up to CEOs and COOs at these large health enterprises that are trying to make business decisions. And we really surface this patient experience data that gives them insight that is otherwise, extremely difficult for them to access at their fingertips. So in a nutshell, that's essentially what Authenticx does as an organization. And then just a quick highlight, our company's grown a lot. So, we're still, technically a startup, but we really call ourselves a scale up, as we've been growing a lot over the past few years. So just a snapshot on that screen, you can see our growth. So we're up to 86 team members today. At our current pace, I would anticipate that we'll likely peak out somewhere around 120 people going into maybe the late part of next year. So we've got a number of open opportunities as we continue to grow the organization. So there's a snapshot. And I'm sure if you guys have any questions, we'll definitely have time to talk through those at the end. Next, I'll just really briefly highlight our culture and just a few initiatives that Janeva and I have been working pretty closely with. First, at a high level, just talking about our benefits. So we offer things like free health insurance for our employees. We have family coverage as well, so people can pay some of the premium towards that, but we offer free coverage for our employees. We've got unlimited vacation programs. We've got paid parental leave where you can get up to 12 weeks off for the birth of a child, adoption of a child, things like that. And then a variety of other, employee perks and things to that effect. Coming up here, I always like to highlight our siesta. At the end of the year, we close the whole last week of the year. We treat that as a paid week off for our staff, in addition to our regular paid holidays throughout the year. So again, we're a startup, we're a tech company, so we try to be modern in our approach to our employee experience, and create a space where people obviously are expected to work hard and deliver meaningful production as we really try to grow the organization, but at the same time giving some attractive benefits, work-life balance, flexible working and things like that, in addition to the expectations. So that's a quick snapshot on the benefits front. As far as some of the programs that we have, you can see on your screen there, we've got an employee referral program. So we always encourage our staff to bring team members from their network and previous experiences to Authenticx. I think those next two are a couple that I especially enjoy, and I think our team has seen a lot of value in. So we started a Black professionals resource group. I want to say that was in maybe Q2, I think, of this year. So today, Janeva, correct me if I'm wrong, because I can't see you on my screen right now, but I think we've got about 16, 17 team members in that Black professionals group. We meet every month, and it's always half of that meeting is just fellowship and engagement, kind of talking about what's going on in life and just kind of building some community within that group. But then we also incorporate other things like financial wellness and learning and development initiatives and things like that. So, for example, we recently partnered with a financial advisor. He joined one of our recent meetings and talked about some investment saving strategies and things like that. So we try to make those meetups fun and light, but also make them valuable and give some meaning and some resource as well. That third program, our New Hire Buddies program. So that's just where we partner all of our new team members with someone in the organization that they would not regularly work with. We all know that it can be stressful changing jobs. So that's just one of the ways we tried to help people get acclimated to Authenticx. If you've never worked in a startup or in a small organization, it can be very different. So things move at a really fast pace. Things change very regularly. And so it can be a lot of challenge, for new people kind of adapting to that speed and the nuance of a startup organization. So we try to partner them with somebody so they've got a resource just to help them get acclimated and up to speed. So those are just a couple highlights on the culture side. And then a few of the couple of demographics, beginning of this year, I really started kind of closely tracking, monitoring our employee demographics. I shared this data with our leadership team every quarter, and then I also share it with our entire organization. We do quarterly all company meetings, and so I share some of the different data about our team's composition. We have been and continue to really put an emphasis on diversity recruitment, especially in areas where we tend to be, have very low representation, like functions like sales and product and things like that. So partnering with Janeva, partnering with groups like Be Nimble to really be a part of that strategy for us to continue to grow the organization and be really intentional about diversifying our team as we're growing, versus looking up and being 150 people and saying, man, we should really diversify our team. So we're trying to be intentional and get it right up front, which definitely can be challenging when you're hiring and there's a high pressure to get good talent in the door very quickly. So we think partnerships like this would Be Nimble will be a valuable resource in us doing that. So that's all I have on the culture side. Before I get to open positions, I want to toss it over to Janeva. Is there anything you want to touch on that I didn't cover or that you want to elaborate on?
No, I think you hit everything. I would just say, even with that Black professional group, it's just another example of how we're trying to start the culture this way. There are even larger organizations that some of my friends work at, 300 plus people who don't even have an employee resource group for Black professionals. And so those are just some things that we're trying to do from the beginning so that people walk into the space feeling safe and welcome. Some other things, like you said, sometimes we like the last check-in we did, we literally just talked about current events and, you know, what went on at the hospital. So we talked about the Shaquella Robinson case and Herschel Walker. And we just kind of talked about current events and kind of got some feedback and talked through some things. So yeah, just a really good supportive space as we're kind of working through and growing our team.
Thanks, Janeva. And then, so this last section, I just want to give you guys a highlight of open roles. Here in a really quick snapshot of kind of how our organization is structured today. So obviously you've got myself, Janeva, and the HR talent team. And then we've got our COO and CFO who leads our evaluation services, which are essentially the nurses and case managers who are listening and evaluating the calls. That falls under our operations division. And then we've got a pretty extensive technology team. I would say that team is roughly 25 or so people today, maybe pushing towards 30 people. And they're kind of segmented out into different small groups. So we've got a back-end development team, a front-end team, a data science team, implementation, and so forth. So there's probably, you know, anywhere from 2 to 5 people on any given team that you see there. And then Leslie Pagel is our Chief Customer Officer. So we have a separate division for our customer service professional services group, who's really responsible for delivering insights to our clients and managing those client relationships. Then, of course, we've got our sales team, which we're growing a lot there. So Janeva will talk about some of those open opportunities. And then lastly, our marketing team. So just wanted to give that quick highlight just as we talk about some of the open roles that we have. So this is our last slide. I'll take just a minute and talk about some of the opportunities on our product team today. And then I'll pass it over to Janeva to talk about sales. So I'll run through these pretty quickly, again, because I don't want to bore you guys, but make sure to leave plenty of time for us to talk through it if anybody has specific questions after this call or any other time going forward. So we've got a customer success manager. We've got actually 3 opportunities there. Those are essentially what I describe them as our technical account managers. So those individuals are working directly with the client in regards to the platform. So they're doing implementation support, client trainings, assisting with configurations and reporting and analytics and things like that. So they are very knowledgeable in the platform and serving clients there. We have a couple of opportunities for data scientists. We actually have two openings. We're looking to hire a senior and potentially a more junior data scientist to join the team. So especially looking for someone that's got experience with Python. And then at least on the junior side, at least having some familiarity. Obviously on the senior side, having a couple years of application when it comes to building machine learning and AI models that can run in an enterprise software platform. So deep learning and data science and things like that. Then we actually just posted a product analyst role. It's not formally live yet. It should be live in the next 24 to 48 hours. So that role is kind of like an internal liaison. So that person will work between our software development team and our users. And those could be internal or external users. So that person is like the bridge between those groups. As users put in requests for feature enhancements and things like that, this person will be gathering requirements, gathering system feedback, things like that from the user, and then communicating those requests to our software development team. And again, serving as a bridge, as a liaison between those two individuals or two parties as the software is being developed or new features are being developed. That person will help ensure that those features are aligned with the request, collaborating with our QA team and things like that. So that is someone who needs to have a good technical acumen. They don't necessarily need to be a developer and have that depth of skill, but they need to have good technical acumen and the ability to engage with technical and non-technical people, right? So they should be able to talk techie to developers, but also be able to talk in layman's terms to people like myself. And then we've got an opportunity for a back-end engineer. So our platform is primarily C#.net based and SQL. So anyone with some back-end engineering experience using those technologies. And then lastly, we also have a front-end engineer role, which we primarily use React and TypeScript on the front end. So we've got one spot open for our back-end and front-end teams. So there's a high-level snapshot of our product team. Janeva, do you want to take a minute here and talk about the sales roles?
Sure. We have one question from Jalen. Is the product analyst role similar to the UX researcher?
No, not really. I wouldn't call it, if you've got some UX experience, that's probably helpful for the product analyst role. So they probably share some degree of overlap. But I would say that product analyst is going to be working on back end and front end features. So that's probably how I would answer that. Hopefully that was a clear answer.
Thank you. Jayla, let us know if you need a little more context there after we kind of get done here. So the sales department, we have 3 positions open right now: the account executive, account manager, and sales development rep. I'll start with the sales development rep, as that's more of an entry-level position, and it has about probably like 8 openings right now. So that role there really calls on being able to do cold calling. The goal is to set up first meeting runs for account executives, also to make sure that you're doing research, finding out leads, building out a pipeline, and doing a lot of outbound sales and communicating. So working really close with the AE in different verticals of the space that we work in to kind of build out that pipeline and build out first meeting runs for the AEs. So it does have a quota, which entails having cold calls, emails, as well as setting up first meeting runs. The quota right now looks like 6 first meeting runs per month. So that's that. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Oh, we use HubSpot and LinkedIn. So if you have, kind of some experience in there, that will also be a plus for you. So it's really based around sourcing and really kind of being able to put yourself out there. Also really learning the product and what we sell and who we are as a company to be able to kind of lean into getting those outbound calls and getting those meetings successfully. And then an account manager position, I think we're looking for 3 for that role, right? So 3, that's more of an inside sales position. So they're working more on accounts that we already have and expanding those accounts out, upselling, and making sure that we're renewing accounts. So they're really going to work cross-functionally across are all positions remote? I'll answer that in a minute. All of the positions are remote, but we're hybrid right now. So sales comes into the office on Mondays and Thursdays, and products Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah. So the account manager role, they also are doing inside sales. They're working cross-functionally across teams. So they're going to be working in the sales with the AEs, but they're also going to be working with our product team as well as customer strategy to make sure that the account is being taken care of, that the customer is happy, as well as kind of being an advocate for the platform and making sure that we're selling and upselling and giving the client, the most use of the platform. So any features or upgrades that we can do, it's a revenue generating position. So making sure the client is happy, but then also making sure that we're capitalizing on the account. And then for the account executive, that is all about getting new logos, getting new business, and driving sales and kind of driving us forward to bring in more sales. So the AE, that usually requires, both of these positions, account manager and AE, requires some sales in SaaS, healthcare SaaS specifically, preferably, but at least 2 to 3 years in the SaaS space, like true SaaS. So not necessarily hardware, but that software, being able to speak to that language, and then kind of that sophisticated sales cycle that usually our sales cycle is about, can range from 6 to 9 months or even longer, just based on the customer that we're trying to get. Anything I leave out there?
No, that was good. That was good. And then I'll close out on the other few other positions we have open right now. We've got a controller role. So if there's anybody that's got a financial background, accounting, especially in the SaaS or enterprise software type of environment, that role is a new opportunity. To that question about remote, it can vary a little bit by role. So for example, an account executive or an account manager, we'll hire those positions practically anywhere in the US. So we're pretty flexible there. If we hire people who are in the central Indianapolis area, then we will typically expect that they'll come in the office, once or twice a week with the rest of the team. But otherwise, AEs and AMs can be anywhere in the US. Our sales development reps, that role is specifically expected to be in Indianapolis so that they can be on site pretty regularly. And then across those product positions, all of those roles can be remote. Again, anytime we hire somebody who's in the Indianapolis area, we generally say, look, it's a hybrid position. The team's going to meet on site maybe once a week, sometimes twice a week. So we expect people to have some flexibility there. But again, those team members can be anywhere in the US. So of course, if they're not in Indiana, we usually tell them that you could expect that there may be, at least once or twice a year where the team may want you on site for company event or a large team training event or something like that. In which case we would typically coordinate, covering the cost to travel into the state for a couple of days. And then, so again, these last few positions over here, the controller role, that is a local position. So we are looking for someone in Indianapolis who's going to work on site most days with some flexibility, of course. Practice manager, that's a vague, these are vague titles, so I'll give a little context to them. So a practice manager is essentially a customer-facing role. It's a professional services position. So our practice managers will manage a book of accounts, and they will be delivering insights to that client. So they will be the ones who are extracting data out of our platform and meeting with the CEOs, the directors, the operations managers, whoever it is with the client, usually on some recurring basis. It may be monthly, it could be bi-weekly. It all depends on what that particular client's needs are. But they're presenting to the client, here's the data that we've seen happening in your customer and patient's experience. Here's what it means. Here's how you could make changes in your organization to drive whatever outcomes it is that you're looking for. So they're a very consultative role. So someone as a practice manager typically needs to have at least, we generally say at least 5 or more years working in a healthcare environment. So working for a large health insurance company, a hospital, working in patient experience or something like that, where they've got good context to the client's kind of general business objectives. And then that last role, insights analyst, that position we actually just filled, so it's not open, but that is one of our, from a volume perspective, that position specifically is our largest role. I want to say we have maybe 15, if I'm not mistaken, insights analysts in the organization, 12 to 15. And those are the individuals who, as I mentioned before, are listening to the calls that come into our platform, and they're evaluating that call by completing an evaluation form in the software. So typically our insights analysts, as I mentioned, have backgrounds as nurses, therapists, case managers, social workers, some capacity where they worked in healthcare or something similar. So typically that team, we say they have a strong heart and compassion for people, so they listen well, but they have a strong mind for the environment and the context in which things are happening. So we can rely on them to very effectively evaluate calls because they've worked in those environments and they work directly with patients or people in need and things like that. And so that is also the practice manager and the insights analyst. Those roles can essentially be anywhere, almost anywhere in the country. So. that essentially concludes the presentation format of this call here. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen unless I need to bring something back up on the screen to talk about. But otherwise, I think at this point we'll open it up. Janeva, I don't know if you've seen any other questions in the chat or if we want to open it up for anybody that may have questions.
I think we can open it up for questions. And guys that just joined, me and Darron shared our LinkedIn profile at the top of the chat.
Any questions?
Are we just that good? I mean, well,
you are. Well, I have a question. Thank you so much for sharing about the company. It sounds like a really lovely place. But I like to get to know you guys. Like, how you guys get started? How was your journey? Like, what were the specific steps that you were like, wow, like now my life is changing because of this? Like any hardships? Like, I really like to connect with people on that level because I feel like it really works for me because I struggle with dealing with failure and like making mistakes, and I'm always too hard on myself. So I always like to connect with people and be like, okay, you have this really amazing position. It feels like your life is perfect, but have you dealt in the past with situations where like, I want to die? So if you guys would like to share on that, because I know that the students are interested in hearing more about that.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I guess I'll take a few minutes and just give a little background again, and then I'll toss it over to Janeva. So,
Yes.
So I guess jumping back, so I'm born and raised in Indianapolis. I actually moved to Atlanta last year with my family, my wife. We've got 3 boys, 11-year-old, and then twin 10-year-olds. So my background in college, I studied psychology and philosophy. I knew I wanted to deal with people. I just realized I didn't want to be a therapist or a counselor and kind of bearing the weight of people's lives. Little did I know that HR is very much like being a therapist. So I often find myself bearing the weight of people's lives and experiences. So I can appreciate having a value and impact in people's work life, at least. So I started in psychology. I got out of college, went and worked at the YMCA for a few years, got into HR there. I was an office or business manager. And then I was really drawn to recruiting. So I really enjoyed the technical process of seeking people and connecting people with the right opportunities and understanding a person's desires and skills and how that could benefit an organization as well. So that's what I was drawn to, and that's a lot of kind of what I guess led the next 12 or so years of my career in a pretty recruiting oriented role. But I really liked HR and working with people too. So I kind of branched out. I got my master's in HR, because I felt like I needed some more formal education there. I can remember that being a rough patch because I was applying for probably 10, 15 jobs every week. I was getting nothing, no callbacks, no nothing for probably the better part of 6 to 12 months. And as I was looking at the student loan debt that I'd used to get my degree, I started to feel like that was pretty stupid because I wasn't getting me anywhere at the time, but tried to stay positive and stick with it. And I just, I think what broke it for me was I saw a job in the newspaper. So this is going back in time a little bit, but saw a job in the newspaper. Instead of applying online, I decided to actually go to the company's office and apply in person because I was tired of being ignored. I'm like, man, I got to try something different. So I drove down. It was a company off Keystone over in the Glendale area. Walked in, dropped off my resume. The receptionist said, well, hang tight. I want to introduce you to the operations manager before you leave. She came out and met me. We had a good conversation, brought me in for an interview the next week and offered me the job as a recruiter. And that was pretty much the kind of foundation, like the springboard into my career. From there, honestly, every position I've had since then was because someone knew me and said, hey, I want you to go talk to so-and-so. They got an opportunity and I think you'd be a good fit for it. I feel like networking, connections, I mean, you hear it all the time, but I can definitely say for myself, if it wasn't having people around me that saw the work and commitment that I had, then, you know, I probably wouldn't be quite where I'm at today. So I think leveraging your network, and I've never asked people to refer me. I just kind of let my work and my presence speak for itself. And if someone's got a need, then hopefully I've left a positive enough impression that they'll think of me when it happens. So yeah, there's hopefully somewhat of a short story. I got connected with Janeva years ago. I'll pull that one in, play that card real quick so that she says nice things about me. But so I got connected with her a few years ago. Her and my wife got connected when she moved to Indiana. And I just left my job because we got laid off. I got laid off twice. That was also pretty heart-wrenching because companies I worked for got acquired. And after that second one, I said, screw it. I'm not going through it again. I can't, it's not reliable. I've got a family. So I decided to start my own HR firm, consulting and recruiting, so that I could be in control of my life and not hand it over. So at that time, I got connected with Janeva. I hired her on as a consultant with me. We hired one more team member shortly after that, had a pretty good run. And then I got recruited. So I took another job, and then I brought Janeva there with me to come join and be a part of that. And then I left that opportunity, came to Authenticx. And as you can obviously see, I called her and said, hey, I've got another opportunity. I think you could come help me do a lot of really good stuff here. So here we are. So that was longer probably than it needed to be, but hopefully that was insightful. So Janeva, all yours.
Thanks. You're so funny. So let's see here. Let me give you some context. So I would assume and believe that all of you guys are here because you believe that kind of transitioning from whatever career you're in to tech is going to be better for you financially, professionally, the better work-life balance, not working your whole entire day, being away from your kids for, you know, amount of money that can't take care of your family. So I will say that launching into this space, I think as a Black community, is a really smart move. Darron and I talk about it all the time. Wherever my next move is, if be 5 years, 4 years from now, wherever, it will be in the tech space. I'm going to stay in tech, SaaS, in that tech space. So I would encourage you all to, you know, just continue to build your skills up and use resources like this and resources like Darron and I to kind of, you know, build your skill set and build your network. Coming from social work space has a cap. Unless you're going to go and be a therapist, you're going to pretty much stay at about 45 or less. And I had a daughter, single parent. So that is what triggered my transition into HR. So I lived in South Bend before I moved here. So I transitioned from social work to HR. The decision was kind of made for me in 2015 while I was still working at Child Protective Services. I started my master's degree in 2015. You talk about hardships. My mother got sick in 2016. So I stopped working, took FMLA. Eventually, I quit my job to take care of her full time. And so in May, she got sick. In August, she passed. That's what triggered my transition here from South Bend to Indianapolis. So from in that space, I decided, well, I can't do school. My mom's sick. I got to take care of her. So that kind of put a halt on my HR career. I went back to case management when I moved here. And I just was like, you know, I'm not happy. I really want to get into HR because HR is very much similar to social work. It's a lot of transferable skills. You're working with people every day and you're helping them, you know, build their life and reach their goals. So you do that in social work, you do that in HR, it's just in the workspace. And so how can I, you know, kind of build myself up without having an HR background? That's how I got connected to Darron, his wife. I was like, you know, they had been here forever. And I was telling her, hey, I want to transition. Do you know anybody that can mentor me or help me? And she said, thank you, Nicole. And she said, my husband has been in HR forever. Like he's looking for somebody to mentor. He's starting his consulting firm. And so that's how Darron and I got connected. And he was really the first person that kind of taught me all the basics, the foundation. And again, if you network and you do a good job, people will always kind of circle back to you, because he circled back to me twice. So I really appreciate him and his wife for that. But I also want to say that I'm currently getting my master's degree in management and leadership. So I'll be done with that in the end of December, early January. So I want to say you don't always have to go back and get your master's, right? Like I could still work with Darron, build my skills up, do all the things. I felt like I needed that. That's something I wanted to do. I promised my mom I would finish my degree, my master's. So that's something that I'm really dedicated to. But yes, talking about hardships, overcoming, you can do it. Build your support system professionally and personally. Reach out when you need support, get resources. I have more than one mentor. So I have a mentor. Darron mentors me professionally, but I have other HR mentors who are women. Darron's being very humble and modest. He's like one of the only Black male HR VPs. This space is for white women. This is a white women's space. But he is in this space doing things and really trying to uplift us in this space as well. So I would say definitely connect with us on LinkedIn, ask questions. Sometimes it's scary to put yourself out there, but I promise you, most people are willing to help you. Most people are willing to give you advice, tell you how they did it. Most people are willing to help you tweak your resume or connect you with people. So you just have to, one step is just connecting. I'm telling you, connect with me on LinkedIn, send me a message. Just do the first step. Oh, but thanks everybody.
Amazing.
I see the comments. Stop being.
Hi, I just wanted to say you guys were awesome. Hi, Darron. This is Ashley Sholar from high school. How you doing?
What's going on? I saw your
Blast
picture.
from the past. Just life. But I wanted to tell you guys you did an awesome job. The presentation was very informative, and I'm glad that I logged on tonight. I'm at the grocery store, but very informative, and it was very informative for people who are, transitioning or thinking of transitioning into the tech field. So thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. We're glad you joined too. Connect with us on LinkedIn.
Any other question, you guys? You can unmute yourselves.
Hi, my name is Danielle McKee. I'm from Atlanta. I had one question for you both. So what do you think are some of the best ways to get your application noticed, especially at a company like Authenticx?
Am I going first, Janeva, or you?
Of
you
course.
So to get your resume noticed, so a couple basic things I would say is one is keyword optimization. I've been writing resumes as a certified resume writer for about 11 years now. And keyword optimization is definitely a key part of your strategy. So looking at the job posting, understanding what are the key things they're looking for and making sure that that's reflected in your resume. The challenge is doing it the right way. I mean, if you got a good eye, I can usually tell when somebody's BSing and I'll skip it pretty quick. But if you can keyword optimize in an organic and realistic way versus like don't do something like write the word sales 100 times in your resume, because it's really, it's not authentic. You can tell that a person is just trying to get the keywords in there, but just be really intentional and mindful of what words you're using in your resume. The second thing, honestly, I say is keep it simple. If I open that document and the first thing I see is a whole lot of text and it's 3 pages long, my brain immediately goes, I don't have time to look at this. So again, keep in mind that all recruiters scroll. We don't have a lot of time to go into depth in your resume. So, make it short and sweet, highlight the key things that matter. And then here's my third piece of advice that I noticed almost everybody misses this on their resume. And I usually don't give this out for free, but I'm giving it to you for free. But is context. Context, right? So when you give me a job description, you list on your resume what you did. Most people fail to give any context, right? So you'll put on your resume that you worked for, Washington LLC, and you were a customer service rep, and you start listing a bunch of generic stuff like helping customers and managing accounts and so forth. That's fine. But what you didn't tell me, I don't know anything about Washington LLC. I don't know what that company does. I don't know how big it is. I don't know what industry it's in. I don't have any context of what environment you were working in. Were you working with SaaS? Were you working in the healthcare setting? Was it manufacturing? And most likely, I'm not going to take the time to go figure it out, because your job is to make it easy for me to recognize your skills, right? So those are my three kind of short and sweet takeaways. But that last one, context, that is a big one, because a lot of times recruiters, we're not just looking for what you did, but we're trying to understand what was the environment in which you did it. And if you don't make that easy for us, then sometimes we'll just, kind of quickly move to the next person. So
I was going to tell y'all anyway, even though he said, I was going to tell y'all that.
I'll invoice Winnie later for that one.
I was going to tell y'all, but yeah. So for me, yes, I am scrolling your resume. I'm looking, one, to see what your job title was, to see if you gave me any information about the job title or the context of the industry. I hate Googling to see what it is, but I will do it, especially if I really want to see what it is, or I'm interested, or the job title sparks my interest. I might go Google and see what's happening. I would also say with your resume, update your LinkedIn page. Have a picture. Have it look clean. It don't have to be all dramatic on your LinkedIn page, but have it at least updated, because those two things to me coincide together. So that's one thing. But then also with your resume, spell check. Like make sure that the spelling is correct, and make it clean. So like Darron said, if you're gonna have writing or you have a lot of jobs, put at least the last 5 to 6 years of jobs, and give some really good context to what you were doing, bullet point it, but make it valuable, and don't have it all bunched up together and stuffy and hard to read. That will make me scroll really quick and not really read and see what you did.
I'm going to add, Janeva, those are great. I'm going to go ahead and give y'all two more things, because we're family here, right? So Janeva mentioned that about not bunching things up. White space is good for the eye, right? So if I'm looking at a document and it's a ton of text, it's kind of overwhelming. But the white space on the page makes it easier for my eyes to navigate the document, right? This seems really complicated or really sophisticated, but it's important. The second thing, here's my last one, is numbers, right? Keep in mind that your whole resume are all words. But when the brain sees numbers, it draws to it, because numbers are different than letters. Yeah. So anytime you can quantify anything in your job that you did, supported $300,000 worth of client accounts, right? That 300 number is going to draw my attention to it. Or, reduced some production by 15%. Those types of things will immediately get my attention, and it gives me some insight to impact
what you're doing.
Impact versus
your accomplishment. So one thing to do is to, before you even do your resume, is to, at your job, no matter what the accomplishment is, it can be small or big, look at your job titles and see what accomplishments you had, what impact you had, and then that will help you write and guide your resume. Like he said, numbers are very attractive, and your dates, put your dates on there. Do not fluff the dates. Don't try to make it look longer. If it's a contractor position, put in parentheses that it was a contractor position. So then that will give context to the date. Maybe if it's only 6 months, well, it was a contract position. I can see that on the resume. So, you know, give the correct dates, because even if it's a gap in it, it could be anything. We'll ask you about that in the interview, but give the right dates as well. If you were off for homemaking, or you stay-at-home mom, parent, death in the family, whatever, there's also ways for you to incorporate that into your resume as well.
Thank you both so much for being so thorough. I really appreciate all the tips.
Yeah, you're welcome. That was a great question.
Any other questions? No, well, I'll just drop again Janeva's and Darron's LinkedIn, also Authenticx website page for the ones who want to check it out.
I'm looking at my LinkedIn page. I did see some people come through, but I will be expecting.
I will send mine in a second.
I say it's like it was a total of maybe, I don't know, 14, 15 people. 19 people I see at the bottom. Yeah, 19 people. So
I have a
tap in, y'all. Tap in.
Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, about the product analyst role. I remember you guys saying that it's not officially live. Do you know when it will be live so I can see the job description for it?
Live by the end of the day tomorrow. So we've got to finalize a couple components of it. So worst case scenario, Wednesday morning, you should see it on our website. But the goal is to have it up by end of the day tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions, guys? I must say it was a pleasure. I am very glad that we got a chance to meet all of you.
Same here. It was very informative.
Thank you so much. It was a really great tech talk. I'm glad we have it all recorded.
It was a pleasure.
Well, if there are not any more questions, that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you again to Darron and Janeva for your time. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. And we're just looking forward to connecting with you in the near future. Maybe another tech talk. Who knows?
Sounds good.
Absolutely. It was our pleasure. I appreciate
Thank you
it,
for
guys.
putting it together for us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks, Wayne.
Bye.
See you.